sacrifice. And no one was at stake, the pressure could crack a pipe. Where everything has a price, but you pay with your life in the king's paradise. The king, the king's new cage.
Well, we're talking about Luke Cage tonight here on Source Material, and if I could just go ahead and start the show, then we'll go ahead and get to that. Luke Cage, Sins of the Father. And let me go ahead and formally introduce our guests this evening. You know them very well if you've heard any of our previous podcasts. One, Ronnie Adams from the Screaming Boy podcast. Foreverly. Ronnie Adams, how you doing this evening? You ready to talk some Luke Cage?
Yeah.
Damn it. Okay, I'm going to stop talking over you now. Are you ready to talk some Luke Cage?
Okay, I'm going to talk now.
we gotta signify when we're done talking and when we're going to start, apparently now.
I mean, if we're on camera, I would raise flags.
Flags?
Yes, flags.
Oh my goodness. It's a flag raiser.
Do you have a flag? No flag, no country.
Oh, I know that one. I listened to that one.
Oh, good.
And I'll be damned if I didn't hear another Monty Python reference again today.
That's not Monty Python. That's Eddie
listen,
Izzard.
I know that. No, listen. That's Eddie Izzard.
Yes.
I've learned, Mark Radulich. But no, in regards to Monty Python, which has a reference in this book that we're getting ready to talk about,
they're both British.
I was listening to a podcast today, and the Dead Parrot sketch came up.
Yeah.
Okay, 1 month ago, I would have had no fucking clue as to what they were talking about. But until I got educated here by the...
I don't care who you are. You need to know the Dead Parrot sketch.
Apparently I do. So bringing the education, as normal, it seems like anymore here on the Radulich Broadcasting Network, he is the patriarch. The one, the only, Mark Radulich. Mark Radulich, we're talking Luke Cage tonight. Why don't you tell us how we're tying this in with something?
We're tying it in with something.
You'll get all down now. Yeah, buddy.
Well, what are we tying this in with?
What?
We're tying this in with Jurassic World.
Oh,
of course we are.
No, we're obviously tying this in with Luke Cage Season 2.
Okay. So what brought you to this book?
I threw a dart in a comic book store. This is what it hit.
Well, there isn't really actually a whole lot of Luke Cage material out there. I mean,
I was going to say, in all seriousness, if I could be serious for a moment, I honestly just I Amazoned Luke Cage, and this is what came up, and it was fairly recent, and it was his solo book that then got canceled because it wasn't selling. I thought, hey, this would be a good one to talk about, especially.
It's no good.
I would imagine that there would be some similarities to the Luke Cage as portrayed by Eric Coulter in the Luke Cage show.
Considering this came out last year, yeah.
Yeah, I figured there might be some connections there. So let's give it a shot.
Okay. Well, let's go ahead and give props to the creative team here real quick. I've got the wiki in front of me. Written by David F. Walker, penciler Nelson Blake II. These are two of the... Oh, did you guys? I'm sure you guys noticed. Obviously, the cover art was definitely different than what we saw on the inside.
Yeah.
It looked spectacular.
There's your similarities between Mike Coulter and the drawn Luke Cage.
Yeah. Razah, Rahzzah is the name of the penciler for the cover.
The RZA?
Razah.
It's not RZA. At least as far as I know. How do you spell RZA?
RZA.
Oh yeah, that's right. Well, this is a Razah. So yeah, there's our creative team. Like I said, the story came out in 2017. So we're just going to do the standard source material coverage here. I'll do a synopsis. We'll bring up some talking points. I think I'd like to touch on some of the characters and what you guys thought of them.
Be prepared, as this podcast contains one of the most complicated names in source material history. Dr. Burstein, Burstein, will be pronounced as the following.
To Bernstein.
Bernstein.
Okay, Dr. Burstein.
Bernstein.
So Dr. Burstein.
Bernstein's. Dr.
All right.
Bernstein. Dr. Bondstone.
Dr. Oppenheimer. Dr. Schwarzenegger.
Dr. Boomstein.
Dr. Burstein.
Dr. Bearstein Bears.
Dr. Burstein.
Burstein. It's just Burstein.
Burstein. Dr. Burstein.
There's no walking away from this Bernstein. Bernstein, Bierstein, Dr. Boston.
Dr. Boom Boom McGee. Dr. Beinstein.
I don't purposely mispronounce anything. Smith.
Luke Cage, the bulletproof man, the hero for hire. We all know him as a fixture of the Marvel Universe and currently the star of 2 seasons of his own show on Netflix. But do we know much about his past? Sins of the Father is a peek into the family that he knew or did not know while becoming Power Man. After the apparent suicide of Dr. Noah Burstein, the man once motivated Cage to become the hero he is now, and also the one that helped give him his abilities, Luke meets his assistant Dr. Mornay at Dr. Burstein's funeral. Luke is taken to meet Cyril Wagner shortly after that, the wealthy father of Caleb, who was also a project of Burstein's, but had the unfortunate side effect of uncontrollable rage when unchecked by a chemical gas that Burstein had developed. We soon find that all is not what it seems. When on a trip back to the airport, Luke is attacked by some very powerful members of the criminal world. This takes Luke on a journey reuniting him with former nemesis Mitchell Tanner, a.k.a. Warhawk, finding a group of teens not unlike himself that have increased power and bulletproof skin, specifically a young boy by the name of Kevlar, whose abilities actually almost rival those of Luke. We also learned that Burstein is not exactly as dead as originally believed. He was taken captive by Mr. Wagner to try and cure his son. Things come to a head when Mr. Wagner takes Burstein and Warhawk as prisoners, leaving Cage and Kevlar to attempt a rescue. One thing leads to another, and a large explosion occurs, killing Mr. Wagner's son Caleb, leaving him with no reason to continue the fight. And that pretty much is that plot in a nutshell. So let's go ahead and we'll talk about some of the characters in here. Okay. Now, Ronnie, I mean, we've talked to Luke Cage on here before, specifically his first meeting with Iron Fist. Have we not talked anything else involving Luke Cage? Have we? What do you think of Luke Cage and his journey here?
That was pretty interesting. I mean, Luke Cage is somebody that I haven't really. I mean, I'm definitely familiar, and I definitely like the character. But his past was a little sketchy for me. I knew he was an inmate, and he got these powers by volunteering to have a
experiment.
I was going to say procedure, but it's experiment.
Yeah,
done on him. That's about where it stopped with me.
Okay, so it's kind of a look. It's somewhat of a look, but more of an current adventure, and a look a little bit back into the past with this book. No,
everything seems to be linked to Captain America. Everybody that gets their powers through some sort of experiment, it all goes back to the super soldier scene.
Yeah, that's brought up, which is interesting. Yeah. I didn't know that. I had no clue.
Even the Weapon X program, stuff like that.
Probably the one. I mean, the biggest revelation when it comes to his origin, I just remember from season 1 of Luke Cage on Netflix. So I don't know much of anything, and I don't know if I've read a whole lot just involving his adventures by himself or paired with Iron Fist, other than just what we've covered on here. So this is a character, even though they call me street level Starch, this is a street level character that I still need to learn more about. So, Mark, what'd you think of Luke Cage here in this particular book? Did he feel like the Luke Cage that you know and love?
It was fine. I mean, it's very I can't say that it's dramatically different from any of the Luke Cages that I'm familiar with. I mean, if you go all the way back to the 70s, he's a little bit more, he's a little bit more funky. He's a little bit more, street talking jive. But
jive talking.
Yeah, he's a jive soul, bro. And always lie to your friends. And he'll never get nothing in the end.
You a dinosaur bro, and you're always lying to your friends. You're a dinosaur bro, and you never get nothing in the end.
There it is.
I think.
Leave it at that.
What else about Luke Cage other than WWF quotes?
Well, it was theme music, really, but anyway. So as I was trying to tell you, so this iteration of Luke Cage is a little bit more modern or a little less jive soul bro. But he's still that like street level hero. He still kind of sees the problems of everyday people as his domain. Even though he's been an Avenger and he's been a part of some pretty wacky out there events, he always comes back to, there are big problems, there are little problems, I'm here for the little problems. And this story was an interesting one. I liked this. This had a very cinematic quality to it. I think if they hadn't gone the direction that they went with this TV show, this could have very easily been the impetus to a season of Luke Cage. The Netflix show. You know, this whole idea of the doctor who gave him his powers has also experimented on other people, and they are going crazy, and he has sort of obligated to kind of put the mess back in Pandora's box. You know, and this philosophical debate between him and Dr. Burstein regarding the importance, the success, ethicalness of the morality of the program itself. You know, because while Luke Cage had benefited from it, you know, there's elements of his personality that are like, I shouldn't have had these powers to begin with. I was a lab rat. And Dr. Bernstein's like, no, we cured disease with this. We made you a better man. That was the whole point of these things. So the whole point of Captain America was not just to create a weapon, but, you know, the whole idea of the super soldier serum was, you know, essentially to eradicate disease and to make people into healthier, perfect beings. And that, the whole concept, like right now, of like genetic editing and stuff like that, I think the story was very relevant. My problem with this entire story, though, was that there was too much repetition.
Okay.
I felt like in the narrative they kept repeating a lot of the same points, especially between once Burstein and Luke Cage got together. But even before that, there tended to be some narrative loops that just kept kind of going around and around in a circle. And if you were to just sort of synopsis the action of the book, it really wouldn't take you that long because not a lot happened, but a lot was discussed, except that it was the same thing over and over and over again.
Ronnie, did you get that repetitious feel through the book yourself as you read?
Yeah, because there was a lot I skipped over, a lot of the dialogue.
What do you think of the father-son relationship here between those two? Was that something that...
Weird. It was, it's almost to an understandable level, because he did, essentially create the superhero part of Luke Cage, but did he make him who he already was? Was he a good man to begin with? Would he have done these things given half the chance anyway? Obviously, he wouldn't be an Avenger or anything like that, but, would he, right wrong when he saw it? Would he, stand up for the little man? I mean, really what he was taking credit for was giving him his powers and saying, I created who you are.
Yeah.
I saw Bernstein's argument.
Biting my lip.
Well, don't bite your lip. Say something.
No, motherfucker called him Burstein. I swear he called him Burstein again, and it's pissing me off.
Jesse finally has the right pronunciation about something, and he wants it done right, dang it. He wants it correct.
No, I don't care. I just continue to sit there and go, okay, maybe...
Dr. Burstein is... I think...
I winced. I literally winced.
So Dr. Bondstone, let's think about where he's coming from.
So Dr. Oppenheimer...
I think his point is that through these powers, Luke Cage realizes his true potential. That without those powers, he would have never have gotten there. And Luke's argument is, no, I was always a decent, human being and capable. It was like, yeah, but you can do so much more with these powers. See, it's the old argument of just because we can, should we? We think about, and again, I look at this book and I think the deeper meaning and some of the stuff that the authors are sort of hinting at is, we have all of this great science that's out there, but is it really good for humanity? Are these not the kinds of things that can be abused and used to hurt people? But the scientists never see it that way. The scientists always think of it as, look what we can do with these things. Look how much better people will be. And I think sometimes people who are affected by these things turn around and go, nope, I was not made better by what you did. I may physically be better. I may be healthier per se, but I don't know if it's necessarily made my life better. Who can say what Luke Cage's life would have been like had he not been superpowered?
Well, I kind of looked at it as we'll take the old adage, give a man a fish, you feed him for a day. Teach a man to fish, you feed him for life. All he did was give Luke Cage a big old fish. He didn't teach him how to catch it. He didn't teach him how to live. He just said, here's something. You know, he didn't teach him how to be a man. He could have been a super villain with these powers.
I understand where you're coming from there, Ronnie. There's a couple times in the book, I mean, it's not overtly stated, but you could see that he was supportive of Luke to become something more than what he already was. To use his powers for good, I guess is probably the easiest way to put it. He was trying to put him on a path to where he said, okay, you've been given these abilities now, you need to use them for good. Now, that's not like he's at his side every day coaching him on. I could just see it as passing words from, this guy he knew who, as he was going through these experiments, was trying to teach him.
I was going to say, the same thing. My dad told me I needed son, you need to learn how to tie your own shoes. But when he sat down and actually worked with me and taught me to tie my own shoes, that's when I learned how to tie my shoes.
Yeah.
So I know that's a very, it is a childlike way of looking at it, but, we're looking at father and son.
Yeah.
He didn't work with him. He didn't tell him how to do these things. He just told him, you need to, and I can tell somebody they need to do something all day long, but if I don't show them how, if they're not familiar with it, then they're not going to know how to do it.
Did you get the sense that in this book, well, clearly you kind of see the relationship change between Luke and Dr. Burstein, where, shut up.
Dr. Burstein Bears.
You see the relationship change between the two, and at the end, there's actually a point where he looks at Luke, and Luke is, say, hey, you need to answer for what's gone on here.
Okay,
my life.
Here's how the whole conversation goes. Ready?
Okay, yep.
Noah, what have you done? I haven't done anything. Look around you. Someone is responsible. I don't have time for this. We don't have time for this. Mitchell's injuries require immediate attention. What about the others? There's a pile of bodies. I can't do anything for the dead. I help the living. I helped you. Made you the man you are today. There's no walking away from this, Burstein. Watch him. Why are we laughing? Shut up.
There's no joy to be had here.
No, there isn't. There really isn't. Go ahead, continue.
Watch me. I have work to do. Own this, Bernstein. Own everything. Own everything you've done here, and stop with the experiments, or I will track you down and stop you myself. Stop me, and Warhawk dies now. Others later. My work saves lives. I'd hoped you could understand that. You were like a son to me, Luke. Now, you're just a disappointment. Damn.
Story time with Dad at your house must be hell on those kids.
Dude, I'm not joking, but I have freaked out Lily on more than one occasion. My son thinks it's hysterical the way I read these things. My daughter is like, will you please stop it? You're creeping me out. You should have heard my take on green eggs and ham.
Oh, Lord. Nightmare inducing.
So, Ronnie,
according to my daughter, it was.
What do you think of that exchange there? Does that pretty much support your argument as to what you were saying, or?
Yeah. He's not a good dad.
No.
He's not a father figure at all. He calls this guy who he says he created, and he calls him son, and he says, you're nothing but a disappointment because you're not what I want you to be.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
It's a stark difference from where we kind of started at the book, where Luke was very upset about the fact that this, Dr. Burstein may have committed suicide.
I think he felt special at that point, though. I think he thought he was Bernstein's only successful experiment, and then he finds out that he's got all of these other people and all of which are like going crazy and getting sick, and he realizes that that Bernstein went on. I think he was under the impression that Burstein, had stopped the experiments with Luke Cage, and then he comes to realize that he's created all these monsters and all these problems, and he was like, you have to, and Luke's right. It's like, you have to answer for this, and and his whole point is, no, I don't. This is science. Things happen, but it's for the greater good. And so I think therein lies the argument for Mr. Burstein.
Sins of the Father. So, just like you said, Luke felt kind of special. Ronnie, what'd you think of Kevlar, the young kid that we find out that is very much like Luke Cage here, who wasn't a project of Dr. Burstein's? And there is, he actually... One of the big moments in this book, I want to just kind of preface this with this, and I'll turn you loose, Ronnie. But one of the big moments in this book was right at the end of the first issue, where the crime guys show, the guys from the criminal underworld show up, and they have this sword that turns into like this bladed ribbon. What is that called, Ronnie? You probably know better than I do.
I mean,
Whip?
I am a master of all weapons, or master of all weapons. And
Did you call it a whip?
I just called it a sword whip.
Okay.
That's
all right.
what it looked like.
Yeah, it detaches and it becomes real flexible with the blade still on there. So anyway, this thing cuts Luke. There's not much of anything that can do that to Luke Cage. And not only that, but the dude he was fighting, which I take a little bit of an issue with this, and Mark, you probably did too, but the fucking guy comes up and hits Luke Cage, and he's like, I've been hit by Hulk, Red Hulk, and he starts listing all these people.
Red Hulk, Blue Hulk, She-Hulk, and I can't remember who the others were, and he said that he hits harder than all of them. I took issue with the Hulk.
Yeah, I was going to say the same thing. I'm like, wait a second, come on.
Yeah, that was horseshit.
When it comes to the Hulks, I'm a purist. I love Bruce Banner.
Yeah.
And Hulk is strongest one there is, no matter who it is, no matter what, because he adapts. When he's angry, there's no limit to his strength.
Mm-hmm.
Red Hulk is right under that, and then you got the She-Hulks, and I'm like, no, there's no way that this kid, or this guy, not kid, but this guy.
Well, actually, I think he was like at least in his 20s, I think, because it was that crime boss's son, who was another experiment, by the way, was extremely powerful. But yeah, man, come on.
Yeah, I took issue with that.
Okay.
I was like, there's no way.
As long as I wasn't the only one. But either way, the point I was getting at is that there is a point where Luke gets cut down by this guy, and he's sitting there bleeding, and he can't believe what's going on. Well, there's probably about issue 5 when Kevlar is at odds with Luke Cage and has showed up to do the showdown, and then we have a big there's like a large scale. What's the word? What's the word?
Donnybrook.
Ambush. Yeah. Well, the criminal underworld comes in. We got the Ninth Ward going, and so we got these three sets of people who are.
I believe the phrase you're looking for is ECW opening medley.
Well,
wrestling reference.
As a whole, as the rest of the Ninth Ward gets cut down by all these these bad guys with these heavy duty swords that can do this damage, one of them comes up to that Kevlar kid's neck and it hits him, and you're like, oh, that kid's dead. But no, the sword ends up breaking on him. So here we have this kid who's just about, if not more powerful than Luke Cage. What'd you think of Kevlar, Ronnie Adams?
I mean, there's always going to be, Cage Jr. or something like that. I didn't put much into him because to me he was kind of a throwaway character.
Really?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, he just wasn't very original.
Well, he's very new. I'll say that.
Yeah.
So I don't know if this guy is going to show up later on in this series, or if he was just created last year and this is his first appearance, which by all intents and purposes, I think one can assume that. You felt like he was kind of throwaway. Like this is something. Certainly, he's going to be coming back sometime later on down the line. What do you think?
I doubt it.
You doubt it? He's out there with Burstein.
He's not. I mean, there's
Can't beat him.
There's no originality in it. I mean, he's Luke Cage Jr. I mean, he's streetwise. Super powered individual.
Yeah.
Only they're just like, well, let's just make him a little bit stronger, which I think is ridiculous.
Kevlar, Mark Radulich, what do you think?
I think he's sort of a cautionary tale of what Luke Cage could, sort of a mirror image, Alice in Wonderland kind of version of what Cage could have been. But I didn't think much more of him than that. Okay.
All right. Well, let me see if there's anybody else to talk about here. Warhawk. Ronnie, you ever read anything with Warhawk in it?
Who is this guy?
Mark, how about you? Warhawk, you ever heard of this guy?
Negative.
Well, let's go ahead and we'll hop to the wiki and we'll just do a little bit of edumacation real quick. See when this guy... Because clearly this is a dude from his past, right?
Yes.
Clearly.
And he makes mention that like he knows that he was experimenting on and everything, but the experiment with Warhawk didn't go nearly as well as it did with Luke Cage.
Right. He was 7 shades of crazy.
Now, look, I understand the whole bulletproof skin thing, and they clearly had made those sword weapons able to pierce the bulletproof skin. But can I just...
What's up with the blue skin?
We got the blue skin, and there's a point where Warhawk takes a sword through his chest. Okay? Are we coming back from that?
Well, if it doesn't hit any vital organs, I guess so.
Through his chest?
Listen, there are people that taking rebar through the head and they're fine. I mean, they're not exactly fine, but they lived.
Yeah. All right, well, here, I'll just, to let you in on who this character is. Marvel Premiere, first appearance, number 23. Created by Chris Claremont and Pat Broderick. And he apparently was at one time affiliated with S.H.I.E.L.D. So... Fictional character biography, Warhawk was a master assassin used by the CIA in Vietnam, which that came up in here, who later went insane and battled Iron Fist. Later, Warhawk regained his sanity and became a costume criminal for hire. He was hired to assassinate the first Atom Smasher, after which the Atom Smasher's brother, Michael English, took over the identity. The Black King then hired Warhawk to bug the X-Mansion and test the abilities of the X-Men. Later, he became a free agent and fought Iron Fist again, and then Maverick. You remember Maverick, Ronnie Adams?
Yeah, dude. Purple suit, weird pistol.
Then Maverick, before going to prison. He was conscripted by S.H.I.E.L.D. alongside Constrictor, Tombstone, and Manbull to serve as temporary agent in exchange for reducing his sentence.
Did you say Manbull?
Manbull, sir.
Oh,
not
sorry.
Mantar. Not Mantar.
I heard Madball. I was like,
coming
oh
up.
shit! Demonstrate my style. Dun, dun, dun.
All right, so there's Warhawk, and I think those are probably the main characters I thought we should talk about tonight. All right, well, all said and done here, give us an idea of what you thought of the book as a whole, Ronnie Adams.
Oh, it was good. I mean, it's not, exactly Luke Cage's best work, I guess you could say.
Mm-hmm.
But it was good.
It's decent. Mark?
It was okay. I mean, it wasn't the best thing we've read. It wasn't the worst thing. It was just kind of there.
Not enough concerts?
It's
Hail to the chief.
It's another one of those. I mean, like, okay, let's look at it this way. We are always asking for something that isn't universe threatening, and there aren't planets colliding. The gods aren't throwing suns at people.
Universe.
So,
it's not in peril.
Right. So that's good. It was good. It was refreshing to read that, and it was almost like it was trying to be.
I just didn't think enough happened.
I wasn't done, sir.
No, I was contributing to your point. I'm sorry, but
no, you're fine.
I didn't think really enough happened in the book. I thought, I thought they really wanted to explore this relationship with Luke Cage and Dr. Burstein, and
Burstein.
Dr.
I'm still talking.
Bear aspirin.
And it's like, okay, but they spent like 3 issues just getting him to the point where he was anywhere near Dr. Boston, and and I don't know. I just didn't feel like there was enough action in the book. I didn't feel like there was enough going on.
It felt like it was trying to be. Who wrote Hawkeye? I can't remember his name.
Matt Fraction.
It felt like it was trying to be Matt Fraction's Hawkeye a little bit, but
is that My Life as a Weapon? It's on the list to read when Robin Hood comes out.
It's really good.
So in 2024,
no,
we'll finally get around.
Later this year, jerky.
Yeah,
man,
it is really good though. I liked it.
It's amazing. It's one of the best comic books I've ever read, and it doesn't have Dr. Boston Market.
He's married to Kelly Sue DeConnick. Matt Fraction is.
Dr.
Really?
Boston Market.
Yes, indeed.
If I knew who Kelly Sudafed was, I would be impressed.
Oh, would you now? Would you like to know who she is?
Yeah.
All right, here you go. She's wrote comics such as, we could look at Captain America and the Secret Avengers, Amazing Spider-Man,
Yeah, okay, I know who you're talking about.
Avengers Assemble. She writes, I think she does, is it Bitch Planet?
This show has gotten me to
Bitch Planet.
Notice creator names more.
Yeah, I'm right there with you.
So
you're welcome.
But anyway,
thanks, Mark Radlitz.
Long before you, Radulich.
Actually, wait a second.
We weren't. I know.
We weren't. We may have thought about it, but I don't know.
Let me have this.
Absolutely not.
Okay, all right.
Never let me have anything.
All right, here's my opinion of the book. I mean, you guys may not have been impressed. I think there was some neat stuff in here for a Luke Cage story. I mean, at least we got to look at his past, how much he respected Dr. Boom Boom McGee, and how
What? That's not even close to being right.
and how much he thought of him as a father.
Disrespect that man's name.
As every young boy becomes a man, he starts to realize that his father is only human. And I think that there are elements of that in this. It's not as profound as I think somebody writing this could have done, because they felt like, well, we have to add in this and we got to add in that and we got to add in this. And it was very lightly touched on, but definitely as we got towards the end, you saw Luke and his father figure, Dr. Burstein, kind of fall apart. Yeah, I've never heard of him. I don't know who
that is. Stop making up names, Jesse.
But you get to see as that relationship kind of falls apart as Luke Cage becomes the man that he is. And he even says that, it's a very, I don't know, it's one of those books that the character gains more insight to themselves. And the reader also is along with him for that journey. We get a neat character, which I'm not so down on Kevlar. I think Kevlar is actually a very cool character. I like the thought that he's out there with the good doctor, and there's a possibility that he may be coming back at some point. And I could easily see this kid as becoming a villain. Although I don't know. It seemed like that's what we were going to get in this book, but he told Luke that was not his intention in the first place, especially when he killed all those soldiers, and he was like, he was coming to grips with the fact of what just happened. So I like Kevlar. I thought Warhawk was neat. That guy's been shit, man. What did I say? That was 1975? Yeah, August of 1975, that character's been around.
When I looked at his costume, when they were thinking about all the characters that have been, experimented on and all that, they were talking about, they showed, what was it, Captain America, they showed, of course, Luke Cage, and a few others, Union Jack, and... Why can't I remember the kid?
Man-Thing. There was Man-Thing.
Yeah,
Man-Thing was in there.
He is definitely experiment created. What was it? Oh gosh, what is the kid's name that has Captain America's old shield? He was part of the Young Avengers.
I know who you're talking about. Shit.
U.S. agent?
No.
He was a young
his old
kid.
Shield, his triangle. That shield.
Oh well.
Kid Carnival.
Incorrect, sir.
Yeah, he quite frequently told Captain America he wanted to wear his face as a mask.
I hope you understand. I'm cutting your face off and wearing it tonight. Oh, okay. I'll sleep with one eye open then. The Young Avengers. So we got Hawkeye, Hulkling, Marvel Boy, Miss America, Prodigy, Speed, and Wiccan. Former members.
Prodigy?
Former members: Iron Lad, Kid Loki, Patriot. That's who you're thinking of. Patriot. There's Patriot, Stature, and Vision. So
yeah.
Okay.
So they were all experimented on, and I kind of recognized his costume, but I wouldn't have been able to tell you who he was for $1 million.
I'm looking at his original costume. His original costume was like straight up all red, blue. This is WWE 2017 creative wrestler. It is definitely 70s, 60s, 70s superhero villain kind of thing going on. He's got like two swords on his chest, and then they cross each other on his abdomen, and it's a red suit, blue boots, white gloves, and then then again, I don't know if that's white gloves or if that's his actual hands, because he's blue/pale as all get out. But yeah, he's definitely made some changes, and he looks better for 2018, that's for sure. So anyway, I enjoyed the book. I'm glad that I had the opportunity to read it with you guys. Let's go ahead. I think, unless there's any other burning desires to talk about this book, let's get into plugs. Mark Radlich, are you awake, sir?
I am awake.
All right, let's plug it up.
Poor choice of words, sir.
I'm going to make this really quick. So when this airs on the Rattlegion Broadcasting Network, it will be July 2nd. And tomorrow night on TV Party Tonight, we'll be reviewing, myself and Robert Winfrey, Hail to the Chief. We'll be reviewing Luke Cage Season 2. Jesse, you going to come on and do that with us, or are you going to skip that one?
Oh, I'm probably going to have to sit out because I have no clue as to what's going on. I haven't watched one episode, so I apologize.
All right, then. However, on Independence Day, July 4th, the Metal Hammer of Doom, we're going to go back to last year's release, Kid Rock, Sweet Southern Sugar, baby. Woo! We're going to review that for you. We'll have a bunch of Metal Hammer of Doom extras featuring some Kid Rock stuff, because ba with the ba, dang-a-dang, diggy-diggy.
If you aren't sipping some kind of homemade liquor out of a mason jar while you're doing this, I'm going to be disappointed.
I'll be on keto. I'm sorry, I can't.
I don't want you
to. Other things we got going on here on the Source Material podcast. When Ant-Man and the Wasp comes out, we'll have Ant-Man Volume 1, Second Chance Man.
Ant-Man and Dr. Feinstein.
We got Incredible Hulk's Planet Savage.
Hank Pym.
I so have to go to the bathroom, and every time I laugh, it comes out a little bit more. Stop making me laugh.
Dude. Okay, I'm sorry. You're going to shit yourself.
Yeah, I really am. Spider-Man Threat Level Retard, and and then Lobo Highway to Hell. That's what we got going on. I'm going to pitch it over to Ronnie.
Go ahead and plug.
As you plug your mouth hole with crackers.
Nom,
nom, nom, nom. I'm Ronnie Adams. And I have a show most of the time called Screaming Boy Podcast. It is on hiatus right now because of expensive technical difficulties, but we'll be back hopefully sooner than later. You can enjoy our past episodes on iTunes, TuneIn, Stitcher, and iHeartRadio, also right here on the Rattlegion Broadcasting Network. I was going on listening to stuff recently, and we had some really good episodes there before my computer decided that it didn't want to work anymore. We talked about Toys R Us dying out, and that was a really good show, and I was enjoying that today at work. And
Let's do another Movie Pass episode. I'm ready to throw something.
You sort of need to calm down on Movie Pass. We did, a show about Movie Pass, and it was really good. So here on the Rattlegion Broadcasting Network, and on iTunes and everything under Screaming Boy, you can find those past episodes. Go on, give us a like, rate us, do the whole nine. Find us on Facebook, find us on Twitter, whatever it takes. And we're right here. We're right here for you. We'll take good care of you. And we'll be back soon. I also, as part of the Scream Boy podcast, will be going to Raleigh SuperCon very soon at the end of July, where I have a chance to, if I so wish, meet Mike Coulter of Luke Cage fame.
Nice.
I'll have a chance to meet Mike Coulter, Ralph Macchio of Karate Kid fame, Alice Cooper, William Shatner, if I wanted to spend my money to meet a douche. Michael Dorn of Star Trek Next Generation. Joey Fatone of NSYNC. That one's for my sister. Mick Foley, Sergeant Slaughter. Trish Stratus. All kinds of wrestling stars are going to be there. All kinds of anime stars, voice actors. Kevin Conroy's going to be there. It was Batman the Animated Series, Batman in that, and Bruce Wayne, of course. So it's going to be a lot of fun, a lot of great cosplay, a lot of great pictures that are going to be coming up on our Instagram. So you can find us on Instagram under Scream Boy Podcast. You can find us on Twitter at Scream Boy PR. You can find us on Facebook, Scream Boy Podcast. So go on there, give us a like, holler at us, give us a follow, rate us, whatever we want, whatever you want. We'd appreciate it. And like I said, we'll be back before you know it, because I just have to get the computer fixed, and we'll be back making high quality entertainment for your ear holes soon.
Very good. Mark, I just want to let you know that I saw that you scheduled Skindred's newest album called Big
These
Kings.
aren't real bands. You all make these names up. I swear you do.
Skindred's a pretty popular band. Okay, so the whole time you've been promoting Big Tings, I thought you'd been purposely mispronouncing big things.
Oh,
This whole time.
I don't purposely mispronounce anything.
All right, moving on. I
don't lie either.
I just confirmed with Spotify that it is indeed called
Big Tings.
Big Tings.
Big Tings. Why would I? I don't understand. Why would I mispronounce Big Tings?
I don't know, but I can tell you this much.
You've hurt Jesse.
Ladies and gentlemen, go give the Radulich. Radulich? Radulich.
This is the most mispronouncing words
Mark.
fucking podcast I've ever been on.
That was the remix of your name, Mark. Rad. I can't do that.
Hail to the chief.
Ladies and gentlemen, go give the Radulich and Broadcasting Network Facebook page a like to stay up on top of all the great podcasts that we have to offer. We have plenty of stuff out there, just like Mark was talking about. We got source material, this comic book podcast right here. It's pretty much a book club for comic book enthusiasts.
And silliness.
Yes, absolutely silliness. Most likely there's something out there that we have covered that you may have read in the past or are planning on reading in the future, so make sure to check out that archive. We have all sorts of other great podcasts on here. We got stuff that covers MMA. We talk wrestling every once in a while. I can tell you right now that even though YouTube hates us, the commentary for the Big Van Vader versus hold on a second. Was he Big Van Vader then, or was he just Van Vader?
No, it was Big Van Vader versus
Cactus Jack. Yes,
Damn.
WCW.
Man, why did y'all get me in on this?
Dude,
You know I'm a Foley, Mark.
that guy was taking shots to his face left and right, and to hear Pat,
His orbital bone crack.
oh. So anyway, that commentary,
His nose.
his nose. Well, yeah, I mean, dude, it wouldn't surprise me that his face just completely, like, had a big crack in it after.
Not only did he get his ear ripped off in that match.
No, that wasn't this one. This was
wasn't that
WCW. No, this was WCW Saturday Night.
Oh, that's the one where they weren't supposed to get color, blood, and they did anyway.
Yep. So
Yeah.
You need to listen to that commentary and put that video on, because YouTube will not allow us, unfortunately, to rip another YouTube video and play it again. So, you can listen to it in your ear holes. Check that out. Great commentary. Yes, we talk all sorts of different topics here on the Radulich and Broadcasting Network. I do want to just go ahead and give a shout out to the Unspoken Decade. I am a contributor over there right now. Every once in a while, I'll throw up some pictures from some 90s comics. Plan on doing a podcast here later in July, so keep an ear out on that. Also, we have the Source Material podcast went over to Kapow, the Pop Culture Podcast, and we had a trivia event, 30 questions from a CBIQ of June of 1993, straight from Wizard at that point. So you can listen to that, play along. We had a good time. The guys over at Kapow are great. So, other than that, I am Jesse Starcher. That's Ronnie Adams.
Are you having a stroke?
Mark Radulich over there on the other corner. This has been Source Material. This has been Source Material.
What is wrong with you?
What is going on? I don't know what the hell is going on. Ladies and gentlemen, thanks for joining us. This has been Source Material. Have a good one. Bye-bye.
Thrill is gone away from me.
All right, we're recording, fuckers. Can you just hang out in the bedroom until I'm done with my podcast? And I'll punch you later. Radulich is Yugoslavian for sucker punch.
Really?
I Radulich
I threw
Are
it.
you eating something?
Yeah, he is. He's totally eating on the podcast.
Touch him. And
What?
Oh my god, why am I doing this? Why don't you guys tell me to stop talking?
We tell you to stop talking every week, Mark, and it never works. Yeah.
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 motherfucking Three Stooges. That's wonderful.
God damn it, shut up, Radulich.
We want to keep joking. No, we must not joke.
Yes, we had a long discussion about how to pronounce names this evening.
Cyril?
Cyril. Sigh.
Dr. Rice Krispies.
Cyril.
I really thought you were going to say uncontrollable flatulence.
The threat that brought the Marvel Universe to its knees. Dr. Burstein's
Uncontrollable.
uncontrollable.
Oh, it hurts to laugh.
That's what it has. Okay.
I wouldn't say rival, but
Well-
rival.
I mean, shut up.
Well, no, we've definitely talked about him fucking Jessica Jones in the butt.
Oh, I don't remember actually that conversation being had. Okay.
I distinctly remember this conversation.
All right. Was that the title of the episode? Things have taken a weird turn here.
Are you sure?
Yes. I certainly don't want to interrupt you again for mispronouncing that name for the 20th time.
Oh my god, I farted so hard just now, guys.
We drive you too nuts tonight. I tried to tone it down a little bit.
Oh, did you? Did you really, Dr. Beinstein? Appreciate that.
Welcome to the Total Wireless Store, where total confidence awaits.
Our daughter's off to summer camp, and we're worried our network coverage won't reach her.
Don't worry, you got this with Total Wireless. Our phones run on the nation's best 4G LTE network. It'll be like she never left.
The nation's best network? I feel better already.
Now you can focus on how you're spending your summer.
Discover the Total Wireless stores and get total confidence. The latest phones, the best network, all at great prices. Now open in Miami.
Refer to the latest terms and conditions of service at totalwireless.com.